In the past, when I got called out as being selfish, it always horrified me. I really took it to the bone and might as well have gotten a slap in the face. The term selfishness generally gets this negative connotation, and that was obviously also the way I perceived it. I wanted to be seen as a person you can count on and who would always be there when someone's in need. I aimed to live a selfless life because I thought that was the most virtuous way of living. It's not that I wanted to dismiss myself completely, but I believe that seeing other people's happiness and me having a part in that would cause my own happiness. Now, in retrospect, I begin wondering about terms like selflessness or altruism and what they actually mean, or if they even really exist. I now have the tendency to believe they are just other forms of egoism, and furthermore, speaking for myself, pretty unhealthy ones. Even though my presumed selflessness started from good intentions and I genuinely meant well, the harsh truth is that it was all about me anyway. Taking care of others and putting my own needs aside was just another way to feel better about myself. Making them content was a bonus, but in the end it was all me wanting to stand out and look good. When you lack confidence and self-love, it seems so much easier to put your focus on others and try to achieve love and appreciation through them. An idea of which we all know now, or maybe it's just me, is total BS. My selfishness, disguised as selflessness, had proven to be very unhealthy because most of the so-called good I did was at the cost of myself. Of course, I only realized it when it was too late. I had already turned into a numb, ghost-like individual. For a long time it's possible to manage by acting on autopilot, but if you don't change your ways, an inevitable mental short-circuit follows. And even though it feels like the end at that time, it's only just the beginning. I literally watched myself in the mirror and wondered who I was, what I was doing, and who I was doing it for. I had no clue how to answer those questions. I had taken up my role as people pleaser so well that I not only loathed myself, but also started to detest humans in general. It's impossible to live other people's lives for them, especially when they never asked you to, so it's very normal you get backlash. But when you are in too deep, you don't comprehend and feel very rejected, useless, and misunderstood. So what to do next? I had no idea how to prioritize myself, and caring for others also didn't work anymore. At that moment, it's sometimes better to take 20 steps back, although that sounds a lot easier than it is. It feels brutal to acknowledge that you have been living a life that never really felt like yours. Even worse is the realization that you have no other to blame than yourself. Thankfully, I didn't dwell on those epiphanies for too long and was able to see them as a much-needed wake-up call. But it takes a lot of time and willingness to accept that fact. You start from scratch and are in for a long quest of achieving self-compassion. And as I have stated before, the first step is killing off everything you thought you knew about yourself. Only then you are able to start the rebuild. So, my conclusion, after all that irony I allowed in my life, is that we actually should stop looking at egoism as an exclusively bad feature. And to be even more blunt, I feel we should dedicate ourselves more to it. Needless to say, I obviously mean the healthy and good kind, because there definitely is such a thing. I don't think there's any harm in believing that your world only revolves around you, since you are the main character. Just don't expect other people's world to do the same. I'm convinced we can achieve a me, myself, and I life without acting at the expense of others or by intentionally hurting them. You have the right, no, the responsibility to put yourself first. You decide who or what you allow in your life without having to defend those choices. I make it sound easy, but of course it's not. That little voice in the back of your head will always linger and try its best to take over. I must say, on the days I feel good and energetic, I actually quite enjoy that fight. My little devil is trying to break out, and it makes me proud that I am strong enough to put it back in its box. On the other hand, it's a huge battle on the bad days. It wears you out, and you get so tired that you want to give in. But even then, it's a lesson well learned. Although you were never used to see yourself as top priority, or other people don't agree with the changed you, the sense of freedom it provides you will always gain the upper hand over the resistance you might receive. By living your life mostly for others, you put yourself in a very lonely state. You can never fully satisfy everyone, and despite the fact you might not be able to explain it, deep inside you just feel something slowly crumbling. So, is embracing selfishness going to be scary as hell? Yes, definitely. Will it be worth it in the end? Yes, definitely.